Raul Jewelers is the proud sponsor of Raging Mouth, the Mike North story, coming soon. Welcome, everybody. Let me get rid of that. Welcome, everybody, to the impromptu press conference called by Mike North to talk about the state of the Chicago Bears. We're awaiting his arrival. He should be taking his seat at any moment. My name is Aldo Gandia, president of the Barroom Network, and this press conference is brought to you by our friends over at Raul Jewelers over in Hoffman Estates. When only the best will do, you need to go to Raul Jewelers and just check out their website, raljewelers.com, RAHL, for those of you listening on audio only, Jewelers, raljewelers.com. Visit them. I think Mike North has taken his seat now, and he is ready to start this press conference. Mike North, how are you?
Well, I don't even want to go under this because I've taken so much abuse over the last 4 years. I came in disguise today, Eldo, to be honest with you. I'm a combination of the coach and Whitey Bulger this morning, to be honest.
Whitey Bulger.
The late Whitey Bulger, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just say this, okay? I watched the game the other day, and I was embarrassed by the performance by the whole football team. And I want to try to bring everybody up to snuff, to put it in the words of Nicky Santoro. Maybe you don't know exactly what it is that I do, okay? I've been doing this for 31 years. I've been a Bear fan. This was my 63rd home opener that I've seen since I was 9 years old. Okay, I just turned 71. And Eldo, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you care to join me with bringing up your age, or do you feel like right now that we can move on?
Well, I'm 65 years old, so I'm still trailing Mike North, and I'm happy to trail.
Right. So here's what I'm going to say. That I wore these sunglasses. I put on a nice shirt. Okay, because if I appear in Bear jersey, if I appear like Mike North, but I have the Bear jersey on, I'm still like most of the ball washer meatball fans in this town that believe everything that the media has sold them over the span of all those years. This is not a new phenomenon, okay? I mean, we go way back. I mean, I go back as far as don't get rid of Ditka and please don't hire Wannstedt. I go far back as don't sign. Why would you sign him? 8 years later, $118 million later, one playoff later, the biggest waste of time of all time. The biggest waste. I come from the era, just because you won a Super Bowl with one team doesn't mean you will win one with an organization that can't get out of their own way. That is Nick Foles. Okay? So now, let me also remind everybody that I was the first guy, Carmen DeFalco on ESPN will tell you, that said before he won his first MVP that the Joker would be all that. I said 4 weeks ago that Justin Steele should be the Cy Young Award winner when he was 18-1. I got credibility. You know who don't want to give me the credibility? The same people that wanted all that. The same people that believe in the rebuild with the White Sox. I was on with Aldo Gandia when that was announced. And I said from day one, that's not going to work. So why am I the only voice in the desert? Really, seriously. And what made anybody think that every quarterback since Cutler was good and my only quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, was bad? It was almost like a coup. It couldn't have gotten better. But let's move on. There's only one thing to do with this football team. Only one thing. They're going to have to clean house at the end of the year if they don't show improvement. Now, I'm going to give this to the Chicago Bears. Green Bay is a better organization. They took a guy that took more abuse for not playing than Justin Fields has taken in his tenure here. He took more abuse as much as Mitch Trubisky for not playing. Justin Fields has been given a free ride until the other day. But I got it all set. We have to clean house. You want a new stadium. Am I right? What happened to that? We hired a guy from Minnesota who had been the Big Ten commissioner, Warren. He's the president of the team. And now they're talking about going back to Soldier Field. They don't have the right things in place in Arlington Heights. They don't know what's going to go on. Look, I'm very realistic. Unless I live to be 90, I won't see a new stadium in this town. Okay? Right now, it's all talk. Then on top of that, okay, we have a guy named Justin Field, who everybody, except me, thought that he was going to be the real deal. And it's not all his fault. So I have come up with the solution today for everybody out there. The New York writers, the media, ESPN New York, Get Up, all the New York people who loved Justin Fields, Dan Orlovsky, name them, they all swear by him. The only way for Justin Fields to have any type of career is to get away from the Chicago Bears. So here's what I'm going to offer up, and I could sell this to the New York Jets. We will trade you Justin Fields. He's the next Lamar Jackson if you put talent around him. He has very little talent around him. He doesn't have an offensive line, but he's got escapability. Aaron Rodgers was mauled last night twice, basically, got out of some trouble early in only 4 carries or only 4 possessions, and he ended up being out. You don't have an offensive line, but you got a great defense. You got a running back who can run the hell out of the ball. You got receivers, but what you don't have is a quarterback that's supposedly 16 to 8. He was 18-1 at the beginning of the season to be an MVP. Maybe all these people are right. Here's your chance. To Greenberg, to all the New York people, Justin Fields. But you're going to give up something for him because he's the only guy, from what you guys were telling me for 3-4 years, that is the next big thing. So now you give him a team with all that weapons. We take whatever we can get, and it's going to be a draft pick and maybe a player, because he can lead them to the playoffs. Not saying they can win the Super Bowl. Okay? That's number one. Then I walk into the office where the McCaskies are, and I say, at the end of the year, the coaching staff is gone unless they improve. Unless they improve. Okay? And if they don't improve, I'm bringing in Jim Harbaugh next year. I would like to see him get a percentage of ownership. And I'd like to see him organize the Chicago Bears like he's done with other teams, from college to the pro. And you'll get your stadium if you show some outside the box thinking. And people go, well, Mike, is Harbaugh out of the box? Yeah, I think he is for the Bears. Look at the hire. But everybody knows I made my bones on people. I just looked up the word relic. It says outdated. Yeah, maybe outdated, but still effective. So I'm going to call myself the relic here. But then I'm going to think outside the box like nobody ever has. Okay? And then Eldo will chime in. This is my last will and testament as a Bear fan. Believe me, I won't. Let's do it for 63 years. How much more can I take? Here's what I'm going to tell everybody. My major hire would be Deion Sanders next year. And I'd have him come in. I'd go over every contract and do the same thing he's done in Colorado. You got rid of 80 guys there. I know of at least out of the 53 where 35 should be gone. Figure it out. It will take longer. It's not college. We don't have the same situation. Harbaugh or Deion Sanders. And I want people to tell me that Deion Sanders couldn't do. I mean, he took over the worst program maybe of all the top 5 conferences, and he's beating everybody like a rented mule. Then we get a draft pick from the Jets, which would give us a third first rounder because Justin Fields is a future superstar. We heard all the New York people and the Chicago writers and media say it. We're going to take a big chance here. But let me tell you something. We get Deion Sanders, and we got the first 2 picks if we don't win it all, and we maybe win a game or two. And his kid's a player, and the other kids are players, and he knows talent. He replaced every team. Ditka cleaned out one locker. The Chicago Bears need a complete house cleaning. But the McCaskies would never think outside the box and do that. I'm just telling you what I would do. That's my deal, Aldo.
Very provocative thoughts there, Mike North. Let's go to the members of the media that have joined us in the chat room. Let's see. Derek Carter says this was the worst season opener since 2019. Mike, do you recall a Bears opening game that was as bad as the one we witnessed Sunday?
No, I don't, because what they did later, and this is another situation where I would ask the coaching staff, why would you play Fields the whole game? Are you afraid to put in the next guy that he may actually move the team? Why do you risk injury to him? Okay. And other players on that team. And then I would also ask, what's going on with the stadium? There's a lot of stuff that's been rushed under the rug, but I don't want to lose focus. Deion Sanders or Harbaugh. That's it for me. I've lived through the John Foxes, the Wannstedts, okay? The Trustmans, the Loveys, who I like. I'm not going to include Lovey or Ditka as far as look, if they went to the Super Bowl, neither one of them should have been fired. I said that. I was here, folks. I worked with the man. He shouldn't have been fired, and he should have been given an opportunity. That didn't happen, but then they did it later when Lovey won 10 games in a 16-game schedule.
Yep.
Deion Sanders or Harbaugh are my only 2 choices. You got to go outside of the organization. We can't have, this was like the White Sox, the exact mirror of what we're seeing with the White Sox. If you're going to lose these games, okay, then put in the second stringers. Let this kid go try to prove me wrong, because I don't think we're going anywhere with him. But it's not just him. It's the whole football team, period. End of story. Clean it up.
Notorious says this was the most disappointing season opening performances in order. Number 3, Justin Fields. Number 2, Tremaine Edmonds, the high-priced middle linebacker acquired. And number 1, Chase Claypool. Mike, I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that Chase Claypool is a prima donna? There's words that he wanted to be introduced in the among the starters, and so that's why they introduced 13 starters at Soldier Field on Sunday just to accommodate Chase Claypool's wishes.
That's weakness in the coaching staff. I can't imagine somebody walking up to Ditka going, I'm not starting, but I want to be announced. I can't imagine somebody walking up to Mike North, the general manager of the Chicago Bears, going, hey, I'm not starting, but I want to be announced. Sit your ass down. You're not playing. I mean, it's the culture. It's the weakness. How do you let that guy get announced? And then he goes and puts on a performance where he didn't give a damn. I put more effort getting out of the couch and going to the refrigerator for a Diet Coke than he put out on the football field. I mean, so, we're missing the point here. Are we really believing? Because here's what I'm doing, Aldo. I am pushing Fields onto the New York media that can shut up about him, and including some of my friends at Visson, for years. Here's your chance. And you know what? I think since he's got the best escapability, even better than Lamar Jackson, they got a better chance. What, are you going to pick up Joe Flacco? That's what I tell him. What, do you got Big Ben? What, Tom Brady coming back? Where are you going with this? There's one guy.
Yeah.
And then what do I hear later on in another show? Which is sort of intriguing, because I did perk up. Because after everybody was done, I mean, one guy brought up Kaepernick. Do you know? This is how dense everybody has become. He's been out of the league 7 years. Hey, how about Kaepernick? Okay. How about Cutler then? Bring back Cutler. I mean, it's all ridiculous. So my deal is, let Justin Fields go to the Jets. You got to give us a first rounder, because a Hall of Famer. I've heard that all the time from our media and the New York media.
Yeah.
But and escapability is the main thing, because Rodgers would have been killed eventually anyway. I mean, that line last night, did it look good to you?
Oh gosh, no.
Okay.
I mean, it was clearly apparent in the first 2 snaps before the injury that Rodgers was going to be running for his life all season, and he may have played his last down ever with the Chicago Bears. Jojo Loco says, "Mike, I love you, but don't ever choose against the family again."
The family's having a bad 4 decades. Okay.
Laz wants to know, is Fields closer to being a Hall of Famer or being a bust? I say a buster.
Well, there's no question in my mind. When I heard the media who had a coup to get rid of him here in Chicago, no question it was organized with the Bears. Nagy didn't want to meet with them. If Mitch Trubisky, who's the only quarterback to have a winning record, even before Cutler was 50. No, Cutler too. Cutler was 51-51 and 2-10 against the Packers. If you got rid of Mitch Trubisky, okay, just take a look. If he was a bust, I know the people that called Mitch Trubisky a bust. You're now considered the gum on my shoes. You cannot call a guy that won games with the Bears as a quarterback, even when they had great defenses sometimes, a bust. Then what is Field? That's all. What was Cutler? And they fawn over both.
Swift wants to know, why are you wearing shades inside? Or you just
I want to look official, but I'll be first. I'm a pretty good-looking guy, and I don't usually wear shades. But you know what? I'm back to being the clown that I am. I'm just a clown town that keeps getting things right all the time. Yeah. I got a degree. Yeah, let's get rid of Trubisky. Yeah. You know what else is a good idea? Ditka.
Get rid of Ditka.
I call it journalist, and they know who they are. If you've been in Chicago over 20 years and you type anything on paper, okay, you're on journalistic welfare.
Taurine wants to know, do you have any confidence in offensive coordinator for the Bears, Luke Getsy, versus Todd Bowles and his blitzing defense? Do you think that Getsy's going to come up with a good plan?
I'm glad I was asked this. I think the Bears got a good shot at winning this game. I think Green Bay was that good. I think the Bears were in shock. The Bears have gone. Listen to this, folks. People going, why isn't this on board? Well, to be honest with you, we just thought of it. But that's beside the point.
That's true.
No, I've been aggravated listening to stuff for 2 days, and you know, I needed to quench my thirst on these maniacs that have lost their whole way. But I just think that this team, I think Eldo would agree, and Eldo was a Fields. I thought I heard something from Eldo earlier that said bust with Fields. That's why I love Eldo. That's why we're Chicago guys. We don't get up in front of a mic and pretend what we're seeing hasn't happened. It just doesn't look good here. We're not blaming him completely. But he's an Ohio State quarterback. You know what I used to be? Well, that don't mean nothing. I think when you've had 8 guys drafted and none of them have panned out, and your best quarterback is Mike Tomczak, ever, there's a trend, okay? And it's called, look at the guys he played with at Ohio State, and then look at what he's playing with the Bears. It's just a complete. It's like going from a mansion to a 2-room apartment without heat. I mean, seriously. So
our good buddy Bearstown 19 has an interesting idea. What do you think about Deion Sanders being named the manager and coach for the Bears and the White Sox? Can he handle both jobs?
No, he couldn't handle the ownerships. I'm reading today about the White Sox that Reinsdorf refused to bring anybody in from outside the organization. Now we're hearing that. So he didn't even want ideas. Didn't even want an idea.
That's crazy.
I mean, if you just had listened to some people, if he had just listened to me, I mean, enough. I've had it with the ownership. Think outside the box. Had enough of this nonsense. I've been a Bear fan forever. They're an inept organization right now. Deion Sanders or Jim Harbaugh or nobody. I mean, does anybody Now, he may win this week, and maybe the Bears will prove me wrong. I'm going off. It's not overreaction, though. We have a record. We've lost 11 straight, and Justin Fields has lost 10 straight. But before we go on this wonderful live press conference with some tough questioning from the press, Eldo, do you, no matter what, do you think the coaching staff, after having all that time to prepare, it's only one game, they could beat Tampa, but they could lose. Baker Mayfield's hot, but they had help. They should have probably lost that game. Would you be open no matter what happens? Because if we could fire Lovie Smith at 10-6, then we can fire these guys, Eberflus at the end of the year. It's not going to happen. But are you open to a Harbaugh or a Deion Sanders if that was dangled in front of everybody next year over these guys?
Well, I think you make a really good point here in that, if this present regime fails, you really need to bring in a name celebrity type coach to galvanize, to inspire the Bears fandom, because I have, in all of my years, Mike, of following the Chicago Bears, I have never seen an upset fan base as the one that is currently going on. I'm getting text messages. I'm not going to watch any more games this season. I'm getting text messages. I will never go to another Bears game. I'm getting text messages. Their disgust towards the organization from top to bottom is at its highest that I've ever seen. So they're in a dire situation.
The owner signs autographs.
Yeah.
The owner. Get your ass upstairs. Pretend you know something about the game. Hold these guys accountable. What are the reasons for these moves? I mean, I will not forget that they didn't go through an extensive search. Eldo and I have been here the whole time, folks. Why? I mean, really, Bill Polian hired his underlings. Yeah. He hired Ryan Poles, who was a junior executive. Jury's still out on him. But right now, he's on shaky legs. Mike North don't play the honeymoon game. Okay? And then he hired a coach who failed to make the playoffs on the last day because they lost to Jacksonville. And they still hired these two guys with no experience. I call him Pedro Eberflus. That's his new name because of the white. It's like the White Sox. I mean, seriously. I mean, nobody was asking for Eberflus to be the next coach. Nobody. Nobody was asking for Pedro Guilfoyle to be a manager. He was in the Royals organization. They passed him up more than once, and we grab him. And last but not least, if you lose Mitch Trubisky, Roquan Smith, and David Montgomery in the span of a couple years, did you make yourself better? Because I'm saying no. Period. Yeah. You have not replaced them. So that's my take, Eldo. And now, any final thoughts from you, my friend? It's, by the way, you're looking great. We're getting.
Thank you. Thank you. On the mend, I just want to thank our friends over at Raw Jewelers for making this possible. Again, I'm going to play their ad here just so that people know that really they've got the most outstanding diamond products here. So before you say goodbye, hold on a second. Raw Jewelers is the proud sponsor of Raging Mouth, the Mike North story, coming soon. Mike and I have been to Raw Jewelers a number of times. I can tell you that their staff is second to none. They are experts. They're friendly. They will work with you. They do repair work for free. They're just fantastic people. Raw Jewelers in Hoffman Estates. Mike, I know you want to say a couple of words about them as well.
I love them. And Brad and everybody over there, Ryan, the whole crew, love you guys. And Raging Mouth, will come out soon. But Aldo had to undergo some surgery. He's on the mend, as you can see. He looks terrific. I remember my wife one day felt ill at a store, and she said, she was a little, not feeling all that well. So I took her out. But there were some people at the store that were concerned about her. Well, the next day, she goes, I feel great. I go, well, let's go back to the store, because that will let everybody know that you're okay. And that's what we did out of concern for them. What happened to be? Right? Why was she not feeling all the good? She was fine. She just felt sick to her stomach. The same thing for Aldo. He's on the mend. But let's face it, you have a surgery like you had, and we'll get that up real soon, pal. And you got to Don't do that.
Where's the other one? I got two of them.
Yeah. Right, yeah, right by the neck. That's not good.
No.
Last guy I saw with stitches like that, his name was Frank Stein.
All right, you are the absolute best.
I love you, buddy.
Care. We will see you all very soon. Take care.